Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to go ahead and build a simple application. Basically we're going to build an information retrieval system using augmented generation. Basically, let me just show you the app you're going to build. You're going to be building a Streamlit application that is going to help you to chat with a YouTube video. So for example, in here I have a YouTube video of David Goggins. Okay, so if you know David Goggins, probably watch a lot of motivational videos, right? So I have a video on David Goggins right here. So this video it's just like David Goggins talking, his usual stuff. Again, I'm going to leave the link to this video in the description of the video, right? So this is a simple YouTube short. So I'm going to go ahead and simply chat with these videos. What I simply did is that I use basically OpenAI to extract the audio from the video, and then from the audio we are able to generate a text, and then from the text we're able to generate a vector store, basically using Chroma, and then finally we'll be able to chat with the video. So for example, again, the link to the video is going to be in the description of this video, right? The link to this video, I mean. And then basically let me just show you what it means. So you can actually just watch the video and then come back and you can basically ask the bot any questions. So for example, I'm going to ask the bot what did David Goggins say in the video. Okay, just like that, and I'm going to go ahead and ask the bot what David Goggins said in the video. So this could not be just this project can be applied to basically any video. So you can see reply David Goggins talked about the importance of putting in effort and facing challenges on the road to success. He mentioned not being afraid of effort rather than having a fucked up body. Sorry for that. And blah blah, and you can see all that which David Goggins said, and also give us from where David Goggins said that thing, right? The documentation basically which we extracted from the video. So basically this can be done for any YouTube video. So you just have to get the videos link, and then I'll show you the whole process of building the whole application. And then basically you can just chat with the video. So for example, if you have a lecture or you have a tutorial that you want to watch but you don't have time to watch the whole tutorial, you can just basically create a vector store of what was said in the video, and then basically chat with the content and basically get information based on what was said in the video, instead of having to spend the whole hours watching the video, right? So that's all we're going to cover in this video. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is finally we're going to use augmented retrieval generation for this. So basically in the last video I talked about how retrieval augmented generation works. So I'm not going to go over basically how it works. Basically what we simply have is a document, break the document down into chunks, and then from there we create embeddings and store it in a vector store like a ChromaDB or Vice or any other, or Pinecone or any other ones, Weaver, Waviate and other ones out there. And basically we ask it a question, right? The question, we embed the question, we get similar vectors using similarity search, and then finally we get the document chunks where we get the text from it, and then basically we're able to use that text along with the prompt of the model to be able to answer the chat, the question that the user asked, right? That's basically how it works, right? So in our case now, how are we going to get the documents now? To get the document, you're going to be using a YouTube video. So when you have a YouTube video, you're going to extract the audio from the YouTube video, and then you're going to use OpenAI Whisper to convert the audio into basically a text, right? Once you get the audio to text, which is basically going to act as our documents, right? And then basically we apply the whole process of retrieval augmented generation again, right? We get the document, which is basically the text that is being extracted from the audio of the video, right? So the video, we extract the audio. From audio we extract the text. From the text is going to act as our document, and then from there go ahead and create the whole retrieval, basically create embedding, store in a vector store. And then basically once you ask a question, we find similarity vectors, we get the document related to that, convert the embeddings back to documents, right? Text, and then basically we use that to answer the user question, which are basically going to pass to our Streamlit application in our front end, as I showed you earlier on. So that's basically how the app is going to work. So let me just go ahead and show you what you need to do to build this app. So the first thing you need to do is you need to create a virtual environment. So this one I'm running the app right now, so let me just stop where I'm running the app and then go back in here. This is a folder that you're going to be using. So you can see ls is just an empty folder. If you're on Windows, it's dir. So just create a folder, a project folder. Mine is called chat with YouTube videos. Okay, basically just create an empty folder wherever you want, you feel comfortable with, and then from there go navigate inside of that folder and just do ls to check if there's any content. There will be no content because it's a new folder. If you're on Windows, its equivalent is dir, right? So once you do that, now let's create a virtual environment on Windows. So the command I'm going to use on for our project. The command I'm going to use is going to work for MacBook and Linux machines. So if you're on Windows machine, just pause a bit. I'll show you the command to use. So if you're on Windows, just wait a bit. But if you're on Linux and MacBook, use this command. It's going to be Python 3 -m venv and then venv, just like that, and press enter. So it's going to go ahead and create for us a virtual environment. So if you're on Windows, the process is a bit similar, but instead of saying Python 3, you're going to say py -m venv and venv if you're on Windows. Okay, so that's great for a virtual environment. And once you're done, if you do an ls or dir, okay, you'll see a folder called venv, right? Venv. And venv is a folder that contains our virtual environment. So now let's activate our virtual environment. Again, the command is different from operating system to operating system, but if you're on Linux and MacBook, you can follow along with this command. You're going to say source venv/bin/activate and then press enter. If you're on Windows, I think it's venv /scripts with a capital S /activate .bat, I think. Yeah, so for Windows guys, you have to use this. So you can try .activate, and if it doesn't work, try .bat. Okay, so I don't clearly remember the command, so that's basically how you can get that working on Windows machine. Okay, so once your virtual environment activated, you can see the name of the virtual environment in the beginning of the line in the terminal, right? So that shows that your virtual environment is activated. Good. So once you have the virtual environment activated, now let's go to step 2, which is installing all the requirements. So to install the requirements, what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to use the touch command to create a file. So touch, and I'm going to say .env. It's going to create a .env file. Basically, if I do ls, I won't see that file, but if I do la, I can see it right here. So env file. Okay. So I don't know the command for this on Windows, so I won't show you. But if you're on Windows, the thing is dir, and that should work. Okay. Okay. So now you can see the env file right here. Actually, I made a mistake there. Actually, let me just delete that env file. I will come back to it just in a second. So I got rid of that env file. So all I have right now is just the virtual environment. Okay, a virtual environment folder. So what I want to do right now is just create a file called requirement.txt, which are going to have all our Python requirements in there. So press enter, and now we need to go ahead and I can open up this in Visual Studio Code. So just prep code, or feel free to use any editor that you're comfortable using. So I'm going to open up my Visual Studio Code. Okay, so now my Visual Studio Code is opened up. So once it's open up, what I'm going to go ahead and do is open up this requirement.txt file. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is get all the requirements that I need. So I'm going to go into my GitHub, and again, I'm going to leave the link to this in the description of the video. So once you can find this requirement.txt file, just copy all this inside the requirement.txt file, go back in here and paste them in here. Just paste them in here, and you're going to install all these dependencies. Okay, so that's a bit of dependency. So let's go ahead and install all of them. It's going to take a bit of time, so be patient. So I'm going to go ahead and simply say Python 3 actually I'm going to use pip3 -r requirements.txt, just like that. And it's going to go ahead pip3 install -r requirement.txt, and then press enter. So it's going to go ahead and install all the requirements that we have in our requirements file, which is this one right here. Okay, so it's going to take a bit of time to install all these requirements, so just be patient. And how fast this install depends on your speed of your computer. So just give it a bit of time, and that should go ahead and install all these requirements. And once this is done, I'll be back recording. So just give it a bit of time. Okay guys, so now you can see you have all those libraries already installed. So now let's go ahead and begin to code. So the first thing you're going to go ahead and do is make sure that you have an open API key. So let's go ahead and get an open API key. Again, I'm not going to show how to get an open API key. Just go to the openai.com and just simply create an account, go to your API keys, and then just get an API key. Okay, so I'm not going to go ahead and show you all that step. What I'm simply going to go ahead and show you is simply, let me go in here. Right now we're in here, so let me just go back inside of my VS Code. You can do both in the terminal or in the VS Code. So let me just do it in VS Code. I'm going to create a file. I'm going to call it .env. So don't forget the dot, right? So it's dot and then env. Okay, so once you have this installed, we're going to go ahead and simply say open AI underscore API underscore key, just like this, and say equals, and then you put in your API key to be something like X and then some other gibberish, right? So you put in your API key right here. So let me just go ahead, get my API key, and then place it in here, so then we can get back to recording. So make sure that this is the same, right? Open API key, okay? OpenAI underscore API key, you're going to use this necessarily. So make sure it's the same. If you use a different thing, then remember what you used, okay, because we're going to use it just in a second. So make sure you copy and paste your API key after the equal sign, and then you're ready to go. So let me just get my API key, put it in here, and then let me be back recording. So I just placed my API key in there and I'm back recording. So what I'm going to go ahead and do right now, after having our API key, I assume that you already have that done. So you're going to go ahead and build into step. You're going to go to step 4, in which you're going to go ahead and build a retriever. What the retriever simply does is take a link to a YouTube video, extract the audio out of that video, extract the audio out here, extract the text from the audio, then create embeddings and store that embeddings in a vector store, just like the way we described right here. So those embeddings in a vector store, and then later on we can now prompt to search for vector similarities, and then be able to answer the user questions based on that user data, or basically the data that is inside of that video, right? So let's get started with this. So first we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to go ahead and create a file. I'm going to call this one retriever.py. Okay, so in retriever.py, what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to have a couple of imports here. So I'm going to import OS. I'm going to go ahead and say from LangChain. So we're going to do a lot of imports in here, so just bear with me. So from LangChain document loader, we're going to say we're going to say generic import generic loader. Okay, you're going to say from LangChain document loader parse, and it's going to be parse. Basically it's going to be say parse. We're going to say parsers, and then audio. We're going to go ahead and import we're going to import the OpenAI Whisper. We're also going to go ahead and import OpenAI parser local. Okay, we're going to import those two. So we're going to say from LangChain document, so document loader blob loaders. I'm going to YouTube audio. I'm going to go ahead and import YouTube audio loader. I'm also going to go ahead and import some couple more. So I'm going to say from LangChain chains, I'm going to import the retrieval QA chain. I'm going to say from LangChain sorry, let me get that right. So from LangChain vector stores, I'm going to import Chroma. We're going to also say from LangChain chat models, I'm going to import the chat OpenAI model. So this will be chat models, not chat loader. So chat models, I'm going to import the chat OpenAI, just like that. I'm also going to go ahead and import, I'm going to say from LangChain text splitters, I'm going to go ahead and import recursive character splitter, just a recursive character text splitter. Also going to go ahead and say from LangChain embeddings, I'm also going to go ahead and import embeddings sentence transformer. I'm going to import sentence transformer, just like that. I'm also going to import decouples. From decouple, I'm going to go ahead and import basically I'm going to import config. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to import config. Okay, so I'm going to say import config, just like that. So again, this config is going to help us to read our environment variables. This also help us to set environment variables, and these other ones you're going to use to extract the audio from the video, get the text from the audio using the OpenAI Whisper model, and then create embeddings of that, and then store it in a vector store, basically Chroma store. Okay, so once we have that done, let's go against that. So let's go ahead and simply do a couple of things. We're going to say local. Local is going to say is false, and the reason why we are setting local is that set this flag is just a flag that switch between a local and remote parsing. Okay, so it just switch between local and remote parsing. That's all it does. I'm going to say save underscore directory, and this is the directory we're going to save the audio files. I'm going to say ./YouTube underscore audios, just like that. If you want to save the audio file, I'm going to say os.environment. I'm going to go ahead and simply say OpenAI underscore API underscore key. And the OpenAI API, so OpenAI API key is going to be equals to, we're going to go ahead and simply say config. I'm going to simply say OpenAI API key. So I'm going to copy that and simply paste it in here. Again, remember this you have to must be exactly this, but this is what you use instead of your environment variable. Remember I mentioned this, right? This is the same key that you use instead of that virtual environment variable. Okay, so .env file basically. So whatever you used in there is what you paste in here, but this one must be exactly this, right? Okay, so once we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and create a try and except pass, and then come back to this just in a second. I'm going to accept exception as E, and then simply print E. That's what I want to do. So now let's go into the try block and write a couple of things here. So I'm going to simply say the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I want to go ahead and get the video URL. Basically, this is going to be the YouTube video URL, and I'm going to go ahead and say URL. And you can also say URLs because you can pass in a bunch of URLs and not just one. So I'm going to go ahead and get that URL of this video. So I'm going to copy this or any video that you want. Okay, so paste it in here. It's going to be a string, so paste it in here. And if you have other videos that you want to extract content from, you just pass them in here, as many URLs as you want. Okay, so once we have that done, what I'm going to go ahead and do is simply go ahead and going to say if local. Remember the local variable is what helps us switch between local and the remote parsing. So I'm going to say loader is going to be equals to generic this is going to be generic loader. Generic loader. Generic. Okay, let me just say generic loader. Okay, it's what we imported up here. So generic loader is what we have from here. So I'm going to use generic loader right here. I'm going to simply say the YouTube audio loader right there. And in here, I'm going to go ahead and pass in a couple of things. You're going to pass in the URL, right? The URLs, which is going to be URL. Okay. Again, you can have multiple URLs. And you can go ahead and say the save directory is going to be our save directory. That's all we need to do. So once we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and say else, right? In case local is false, we're going to say loader is going to be equals to the generic loader. So generic loader. And you're going to go ahead and pass in it's going to be the YouTube loader. And you're going to go ahead and say URLs is going to be the URLs that you have, and you're going to say the save directory is going to be save directory. And finally, we're going to go ahead and simply pass in. Okay, I missed something right here. So once we have this thing passed in, what I want to go ahead and do in here is say OpenAI whisper. Okay, OpenAI local parser, just like that. Right, this is going to pass it locally. So I forgot that part. That's the most important part. Why you are saying local. So because of this right here. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and simply say, in case it's false, we're going to say just the parser itself without the local. Okay, so we're going to do this remotely. Okay, so that's all we need to do. So once we have that done, we are good to go for our loaders. So that's all we need to do for our loaders to work. Again, now let's go ahead and simply say doc equals to loader.load, just like that. We're going to load the stuff. We're going to say combine underscore docs is going to be equals to basically, I'm going to create a list right here. We're going to say doc.page underscore content for doc in docs, just like that. So this is actually, let's call this one docs. So for doc, for all of document, we're going to get each document and simply to get the page content of that document. That's all this does right here. And then let me just say combine docs because it's combining all the docs into one thing. And I'm going to say text is going to be equals to this. I'm going to say an empty string right here, and I'm going to say dot join combined text, combined docs, right? That's it. So that's all we need to do. So once we have that done, what you can also go ahead and do is now create a text splitter. So basically split the document, right? Split. Now that we have the document, now you can go back in and let me even show you with this diagram. So now we have the YouTube video, we have extracted the text and converted it into, you have extracted the audio and converted it into a text, right? And then you get back this document, right? Which is now our document path. So what we're going to do is now split the document into chunks. That's what we're going to use the text splitter for. So we're going to create a splitter right here. And this is going to be called, we're going to call it text underscore splitter, or anything you want to call it. Just call it something meaningful. So text splitter is going to be equals to the recursive character splitter. You're going to go ahead and pass in our combined doc. So I'm going to actually specify the chunk size. So chunk underscore size, and chunk size, you can leave chunk size to be, let's say anything you want. Let's say that 150. Okay, And then you can specify the overlap chunk underscore overlap. In this case, overlap, you can leave overlap to be basically 300 or something like that. This gives the model to get better accuracy. And again, I can make a video if you want me explain to you what these chunk sizes mean. Okay, chunk size and the other stuff, what it basically means. Okay, so once we have that in there, what you can simply do is yeah, that's basically what you need for the splitter. So that's it. So once you have created the splitter, what you can simply go ahead and go ahead and do is simply say splits is going to be equals to text splitter dot split text, basically this one right here, and you're going to pass in our combined, right, our text instead. So our text document, that's it. Text is going to be equals to the text that we have. So once you have split the text, you're going to go ahead and create an embeddings for our text. So this is going to be going to go ahead and building the embeddings, build the embeddings, what the word embeddings, and then an index for that. Okay. So once we have that done, again, if you understand how the Chroma works and how the vector database works, I have a whole article written on it on Medium, and the link is going to be in the description of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and simply get the embeddings that we need. So I'm going to say call this one. First of all, we're going to create an embedding function using the sentence transformer model that we just installed. So I'm going to go ahead and simply say embedding, and the embedding underscore function is going to be equals to the sentence transformer embeddings. You're going to go ahead and pass in the model, basically the model underscore name, and the model name is going to be the following. So model name, you're going to say all hyphen, this is going to be mean, mini LM, and you're going to say this is going to be L6. So that's the name, is a bit tricky to remember. L6, you're going to say it's going to be version 2. Yeah, so that's the model name. So you're going to simply create a sentence transformer and go ahead and pass in the model name that you have, and the model name is going to be all underscore all hyphen mini LM hyphen L6 hyphen version 2. Okay, so I'm just checking the name out to make sure I got the name right. So once I have that done, the embedding functions created, you're going to go ahead and create a vector db, and the vector db is going to be equals to chroma, which you just imported, dot from underscore text, right? Chroma dot from text. You're going to go ahead and pass in the following. This is going to be from text, and then go ahead and pass in the following. So we're going to pass in our splits that we just created. We're going to pass in our embeddings. Embeddings going to be equals to our embedding function that we just wrote up, and you're going to pass in the persistent directory, and the persistent directory is where you want to store this persistently. Again, if you are not familiar with ChromaDB and how it works, I have a whole article written on that, so you can check out that on the Medium page. The link's gonna be in the description. So I'm just going to give you just a random name, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and simply say collection name. The collection name, we can just go ahead and say David underscore Goggins underscore video, just like that. So David Goggins video, or shorts. Basically, it's gonna be a short, so YouTube short. So David Goggins short, just like that. And that's all we need to do. And basically, that's the retriever. So basically, that's what the retriever does. So get a YouTube video, extract the audio out of it, convert the audio into text format, which is going to act as our document, create embeddings of the document, right? Create chunks of the document, which what this splitter does. After we create the chunks, we're going to go ahead and then embed those and then store them in a vector store. So get the audio and convert it into text, which is going to act as our document, load the document, combine all the documents into a text. And then finally, you're going to create a splitter. You're going to use a splitter to split our text document, right? And then create embeddings of create an embedding function, create embeddings of each, and store that in a database, basically a vector database. So that's basically what we need. So now we have, so once we get the user question, you're going to go ahead and create embeddings, and then use the user question to retrieve similarity vectors from our vector store, and then basically get the document out of it and use that, pass it to our LLM, and then use to answer the user question, and then send the final answer back to the back to the Streamlit application. So now let's go ahead and create that. So this is all we need to do. So let's run this and make sure that we have the embeddings created. So I'm just going to go ahead into my terminal and make sure I'm inside the right directory. I'm going to say Python 3 and then retriever and then run that. So if you don't get any errors, now that should go ahead and create those embeddings for us. And you should also see an audio file once you're done. So let's wait for this to get done. So once this is done, if you go back in here, you should now find a YouTube audio, which is now going to contain the audio of what David Goggins said or what was said in the video. Okay, so that's going to take a bit of time. So from this audio, is going to use OpenAI Whisper to get the text out of the audio, and which is going to act as our document, right? So let's go ahead and give this a bit of time for this to get done. Okay, it says that so my API key seems to be wrong. So let me just go ahead and make sure I have the right my right OpenAI key. So let me just go ahead and check that to make sure my API key is valid, and I'll be back. Again, this API key is going to be instead of my environment variable. So make sure that you check your right API key, or let's look closely and see what the error is. So find your API key at this. Okay, so invalid API key. Okay, so let me just check that, and let me just enter my API key again, and then get back to recording. Yeah, so I just got my right API key. So once I have my right API key, let's try this one more time, and let's make sure it works this time around. So run the code, and this time around it should work because I made an error typing in my API key. I pasted the wrong thing in there. So let's give it a bit of time, and let's see how it does this time. So it's going to change the audio. From the audio, it's going to go ahead and get the text, right? Do the transcription of the audio to audio, from the audio to text, and then from there, we're going to go ahead and generate embeddings. So we're going to go ahead and store in our vector database. Okay, so let's give this a bit of time. Now it is done. So now our vector database is created, and now we have no more errors. So if I go in here, now we have this, which is our vector database, right? And this is the name that we gave it in here. Again, if you're not familiar with how Chroma works, you can check out my article on Medium on how vector databases work, specifically Chroma. Okay, so there's some imports that I don't actually use, so let's just go ahead and get rid of them. I think I use them in the part which we're moving on to. So now let me create a file in. I'm going to call this file app.py. So instead of this app.py file is where we're going to go ahead and build our Streamlit application, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to go back in here, and let me get all the imports. We're going to import OS, Okay, I'm also going to go ahead and say import the Streamlit application as well. So I'm going to say import Streamlit as st, and you're going to say from decouple. I'm going to go ahead and import config, just like that. And once this is done, I'm going to say from LangChain chains. I'm going to go ahead and import Retrieval Q18. I'm also going to go ahead and say from LangChain vector stores. I'm going to import the Chroma vector store. Also going to say from LangChain chat models. So chat models, I'm going to import the chat. I think chat open AI model. Yeah, chat open AI. I'm also going to go ahead and say basically, I think I also need to import Chroma. So let me just go ahead and import it. Okay, if you don't need this import, I'll just delete it. And also say from LangChain embeddings sentence transformer. I'm going to go ahead and import the sentence transformer. Okay, and say from LangChain prompts. I'm going to import prompt template to help us generate our prompt template. I'm going to say from LangChain chains. I'm going to import the LLM chain. That's it. So that's all we need. So once we have this import, let's go ahead and create a Streamlit application. So I'm going to simply say st.set underscore page configs, right? I'm going to go ahead and set the page config. And one thing I want to go ahead and do, I'm going to simply say the page title. And the page title, I'm going to simply say basically chat with YouTube, or let me just say YT for YouTube, right? So that's it. You can also pass in the layout. So layout is going to be centered, just like this. You can also be centered or wide. So once we have this done, we're also going to set the app's title and say streamlit.title, and the title is going to be simply, let's say, chat with YouTube video. That's it. So once I have this done, I'm just going to go ahead and run the application. So I'm going to go in my terminal, clear this up. So clear this up. I'm just make sure I'm in the same directory as the file. I'm going to say stream Streamlit run, and we'll say app.py. So that's going to run our Streamlit app. So once this is running, I actually found I made an error. It's supposed to be title, and I got the spelling of title right, so title wrong. So title right there. So once it's done, just check if it's running. So the app is running now. I'm going to go back inside of in here, just paste this and run this. So now you can see, just say chat with YouTube video. So that's all. It loads up in here. Good. So once we have that done, we are good to go. So you can also add emojis if you want. You can say page icon, and then you can add an icon right there. So I'm not going to do that, okay, but I have done that in the YouTube link, okay, sorry, in the GitHub repository, so you can find it in there. So once we have that done, we are good to go. So now what you need to go ahead and do is simply basically, let's do all the stuff with Streamlit, and then we'll move on to the retrieval augmented generation part. So I'm going to say if basically messages, if messages in if messages, so let me say not in streamlit.session state.keys, right? So we're going to get the keys from it. So then it's going to be like a dictionary, and we're going to check if messages is a key in the state, right? So basically application state. So if you have ever done web development, you have sessions, right? It's the same thing right here. So we're going to say st.session state.messages. You're going to add messages. Is going to be equals to a list of messages. So we're going to say list, and you're going to add in the first thing, right? It's going to be a dictionary. We say role, and the role is going to be, the first role is going to be first the bot, right? So we say assistant, right? The AI assistant. So assistant, and then you're going to go ahead and pass in the content, right? So content is basically the message from the assistant. So we say hello there, how can I help you? That's it. That's all we need to do. So once we have this done, you're going to check the session if the messages key exists in a session. If not, you're going to go ahead and add it to it. Okay, that's all we need to do. And now let's go ahead and write the code to display the chat messages onto the screen. So basically, display messages. Okay, and this is going to be set initial message, just like that. So let's go ahead and display the message. We're going to say for a message in sessions streamlit.session state.messages, right? We're going to get all the messages. We're going to say with st.streamlit.chat underscore messages, right? Chat message. You're going to go ahead and pass in the role message, and then you're going to go ahead and get the role. So in this case, in the first case, the role will be assistant right here. Okay, and then once we have this, you're going to go down here and say streamlit.write. You're going to write something onto this, onto our message, onto our screen, basically onto our application. We're going to run the content of that message. So content, and the content is what is passed in here. So that's all we need to do. So once we have this in here, let's check if our application is running. It's running. So let's go back in here and let's say run always. So now you can see we have the hello there. How can I help you today? So that's good. So now displaying the messages. Now let's create a simple input field right here where the user can type in something, and just simply add it to the session state, and then get displayed up here. Okay, so to do that, I'm simply going to go ahead and get the user input. So let's say I'm going to create a get user input, and it's going to be, I'm going to call user underscore prompt, right? The prompt from the user, or you can call basically anything you want. S3 dot this is going to be chat, basically a chat input. So let me just get this right. So chat underscore input, just like that, and it's going to give us the user's input. You check if user prompt is not none, but if user prompt is not, if the user prompt is not none, you're going to say session streamlit.session state dot messages dot append, right? You're going to append, because this is a list, you're going to append something to it. You're going to append a dictionary that has a role, and the role is now going to be, since it's from the user, we're going to say user because the message is from the user, and the content of this message is going to be what the user said, basically the user prompt. That's it. So once we have that, you're going to go ahead now run this onto the screen. Say streamlit.write sorry, this is gonna be with st.chat underscore message, and the role is going to be the role is going to be user, right? The user, and finally you're going to do streamlit.write, and you're going to write the user prompt onto the screen. So that's it. So now let's check if our app is running. It is running. Okay, so now let's go in here and let's type in something. Say hello there, and it displays hello there. Good. So that's done. So once you are able to display the boss messages and the user messages, and the user can type in something and display his messages. Now what you're going to go ahead and do is now do the Streamlit, basically the retrieval part. Basically what you're going to go ahead and do is simply, now you have the vector store, so we're going to take in the user question which you're getting from the text field, right? You're going to convert this into an embedding, get similarity started from our vector database, then convert the vectors back into documents, and then pass into LLM, and the LLM uses that to generate a final output. So that's what you're going to do right now. So now we're at the point where we have the user question. Now we're going to go ahead and generate embeddings and then search for similarities and all that. Okay, so to do this, what you're going to go ahead and do first, let's go ahead and set up all the things that we need to use our retrieval augmented generation part. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is set in our environment variable. Okay, so make sure you have it right here. So always keep it below this part right here where you set the page config. So set API key. So we're going to say os.environment. Basically OS environment. You're going to go ahead and pass in an environment, and it's going to be open AI underscore API underscore key, and this is going to be equals to the config, and pass in this right here. So I'm going to copy this and paste it right here. Again, this is going to be equals what you use instead of your env file. Okay, so once that we have that done, we're going to go ahead and simply say persistent underscore client, persistent underscore client is going to be equals to chroma db dot persistent client right there, and you're going to simply specify the path. The path is going to be ./vector underscore store underscore 003, and this is the folder that I'm referring to right here. Okay, that's the path. Okay, dot vector store underscore 003. So make sure it's the same name. Okay, so once we have that done, you're going to go ahead and you can check at the other stuff like the collections, how many collections are there and all that. And again, I covered all this in my article on Medium. You can check that out if you are new to Chroma and vector databases. So once we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and generate the embedding function. We say embedding. In fact, I can just copy this from the retriever just to save on time. So I'm just going to go in here, copy this and bring it right here. Okay, so indent that. So basically get that and bring it right here. It's going to be our embedding function, just like that. And that's all we need. And yeah, and then from there, you're going to go ahead and get the database that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this right here and bring it right here. That's all we need. And in this case, you're not going to have splits. You're just going to get rid of this. In fact, you're going to have embedding function, embedding underscore function, which is going to be equals to the embedding function. To have a persistent directory, which is just basically what we have. So basically a dot and then this right here. Okay, it's the same thing we have right here. And then passing the collection name, which is just David Gilgin Shorts, which is what we use right here as well. Okay, so once we have that done, that's all we need to do. Now I'm going to go ahead and generate a prompt. So a prompt, I'm going to say a prompt is going to be equals to a prompt template right here. I'm going to pass in the template, basically a template, and it's going to be a string of value. So I'm going to use a basically string literals. I'm going to say given the context of context about a video, basically, and then say answer the user in a friendly and precise manner. Okay, that's all we need to do. You're going to go ahead and pass in the context. So context is going to be here, context, the context, and also going to go ahead and pass in the human question, which is going to be the question, basically question from the user question. That's all we need to do, and then from there we can get an AI response. So AI, and then finally the AI's response. So that's all we need to do. So that's basically the prompt, and you're going to go ahead and specify the input variables that we want to pass in. So we're going to say input variables, and input variables, we need a couple. We need context, basically what here context is this context. Okay, let me get the spelling there, right? So this is context, and you're also going to go ahead and use in here question, just like that. So we're passing the context, and which is what you're passing in here. You're passing the question, so what you're passing in here. Okay, so make sure that if you use something different here, then you have to specify them in here as well. So those are input variables. Once we have the input variable, now let's build the Q&A chain, the Q&A chain, basically the retrieval chain. So when we say Q&A chain is going to be equals to the retrieval QA chain. We're going to go ahead and say dot from underscore chain type, and we're going to go ahead and pass in our LLM is going to be equals to, we're going to use chat, this model right here which we imported. We're going to go ahead and pass in model underscore name. If you want to pass in the model name, you can go ahead and pass in the model name. You can pass in temperature as well. So I'm going to say temperature. You can use temperature as 0.7, so 0.6, so there's a bit of randomness. Okay, so once we have that done, I'm also going to go ahead and pass in the chain type, and the chain type is going to be going to use stuff. Okay, stuff for this, for the retrieval. Okay, because it's not going to be a huge document, hopefully. So I'm going to say in case you're using a longer video, then you might need to think of the chain type. Okay, so let me just cancel this. I'm going to go ahead and say retriever. Going to be retriever, and the retriever is going to be equals to, so let me just make sure I get this. So retriever is equals to, I'm going to say vector db and dot as underscore retriever. That's it. So that's all I need to do. So once I have this done, so that's all I need to do, and I'm going to go ahead and simply say return underscore source. Okay, return source underscore document. So document is going to be equals to true. You're also going to go ahead and say chain underscore type quarks, and then go ahead and pass in here a dictionary. So I'm going to say prompts, and the prompt is going to be equals to the prompt that we have defined above here. So prompt right here. So prompt. Okay, I get the spelling there wrong. So prompt. Yeah, so once I have that type of fix, so this should be prompt, and also this should be prompt. So that's basically what we need to do. Passing the chain type as stuff, the retriever as a vector base using the retriever method, and passing return source document. It's going to return to us our source document to make sure that you're getting the right documents being used to answer the question. Also passing in the prompt, basically the chain quark. So passing the prompt as a prompt that we have defined above here, our prompt template basically. Okay, so once we have that done, what you're going to simply go ahead and do is build the last part of this of the project. So I'm going to simply say if st.session, if st.session is going to be session underscore state dot messages. You're going to go ahead and simply get the very last message. Going to be -1 right here, and you're going to get the role of it. So the role of that dictionary, we're going to check if it's not equals to if the role is not equals to assistant. Let me get the spelling right. So if the role is not equals to assistant, what you're going to do, you're going to say with, you're going to create a context manager. You're going to say with st.chat underscore message right here. This is going to be assistant right here, and you're going to also go ahead and say with st.spinner. You're going to create a spinner because this can take a bit of time to retrieve the information. So what you want to do is to indicate to the user that you're actually loading, so we're actually doing something. So just wait. So I'm going to say AI underscore response is going to be equals to, so I'm going to get a spelling of response, right? So response is going to be equals to QA underscore chain, which is what the chain that we just created above here. You're going to say dot what is dot basically, and sorry, just call it and pass in a couple of things. So we're going to pass in here a dictionary. So we're going to say query just like that, and I'm going to say query is going to be equals to the user prompt, which is what the user typed in right here, right? So you're passing as a query. So once we have, we're going to say st.write. You're going to write the user's, basically the AI's response. So AI underscore response. You're going to go ahead and get the result part of it. So the result, right? So in a dictionary, getting the result part of it. Again, once we have that result, what you're going to go ahead and do, you're going to say, you can also write the source document if you want to. So I want to say for doc in AI underscore response, and I'm going to go ahead and get the source document. So source underscore document. Okay, so that's going to get me the source documents. Get me the source documents. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is just write each on the screen individually. So I'm going to write the doc right there. That's all I want to do. So get each from the source document and then simply write each individually onto the screen. So that's all I want to do. So once we have this done, I'm going to go ahead and create now a new AI message and store this in our session. So I'm going to say new underscore AI underscore message is going to be equals to a Python dictionary, right? So I'm going to go ahead and simply say role, and the role is going to be again user, and if we're going to have content, what the content is, and the content is going to be equals to the AI underscore response. That's it. So once we have this, I'm going to say a session dot message dot sc dot session dot messages, and then dot append, and we're going to append the new AI messages in there. So that's all we need to do. So once I have done, I'm going to go ahead and simply save that. So once that's saved, now we can go ahead and try to run the code one more time. So basically we have an error right here. So let me just stop this for a minute, clear this, and then simply restart this. So once I have this open up here, let me just go ahead and close this, and let's wait for this to run. It's taking a bit of time. Let's see if you're getting any error, an error in here. So you say from test missing one required portion of argument text. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to go back in here and go into, I think it should be right here. Yeah, right here. Okay, so let me just see where we probably went wrong on this part. So we're just creating, okay, this is actually chroma. You don't have to say dot text, you just have to say this. That's all we need to do, and because we don't have any text. Okay, and let me just say run always, and let's see if this goes through. So we have that there. So let's say what was said in the video. Just run this, and you can see you have the loader right there, the spinner, and let's see what is going to return back to us. So let's see what we get back. Yeah, so you can see this is the response that we got back. So in the video, the speaker talks about the intense physical training routine, including running 120 miles week, doing thousands of pull-ups and push-ups, working out at the gym, and so on. So you can see this is exactly what David Goggin will say without even watching the video, right? So that's basically it, and you can see now we can basically chat with our video. So that's basically how to build this retrieval system using LangChain, Streamlit, and other stuff. So basically I've built the Streamlit app, you have tested it out, and everything works. So that's all for this video. Again, you can go ahead and ask the bot different questions, who was the speaker in the video, and all that you want to find out, and also gives you the retrieval document, the document that it used to generate this response, right? So that's basically how you can build an application or retrieval augmented generating system to basically chat with a YouTube video. So instead of watching the YouTube video, you can just generate a retrieval augmented system based on what was said in the video, and then basically prompt the bot or the chat bot, and then basically get content out of the video without actually watching the video. So that's guys, that's it for this video. Again, I hope you guys learned something from the video. Again, if you aren't yet subscribed, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel just to support me. One of the easiest to support me. If you want to donate anything to help me improve the quality of the videos, you can do so. The link, you can buy me coffee. The link is in the description of the video. Again, if you want the written version of this video as well, in a Medium article, I have the link in the description where you can find the written version of this video as well. And also, if you are new to ChromaDB and you want to learn more about ChromaDB, again, the written version of what ChromaDB is, a well-detailed documentation or article on a Medium page is going to also be, the links going to be in the description of the video as well. So guys, that's all for this video. I hope you guys learned something out of it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Keep safe.